Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where we join the Dunlop Mk2 Golf GTi Championship. Now, these guys always throw up some great race action, but before we get to that, here's the full grid with Ben.
And it's Jason Tingle who takes pole. Alongside him on the front row is Tom Witts, then Chris Skipp and Stuart Lyons from Adam Hance, Charles Bagley, Simon Thompson, Alex Nuttall, the front runners amongst the 8-valve class, but Peter Bray-Spicer and Adrian Ward are always in the mix. Ready for the start then. The revs rise and away we go. It's a good start from Jason Tingle from pole position, and he leads away as the rest of them all dispute second place. I think we can also expect to see Jamie Martin, all things being equal, coming through from the rear of the field as they tiptoe their way around Paddock Hill Bend for the first time and climb up Hawthorne Hill into Druids, almost 3 wide in the midfield. The 2 of them exploring the periphery of the track. That's Tom Witts in particular in the bright orange car, who was running out wide, as Jason Tingle it is who leads the way. It's Adam Hance next along in second position. Good scrap also going on for 8-valve honours between Simon Tomlinson and Alex Nuttall. It's a challenge to the inside there from Stuart Lyons to the inside of Chris Skipp. Lyons in car number 4, Skipp number 74. Nice big fluorescent numbers as Jason Tingle leads the way down Pilgrim's Drop behind Stuart Lyons, now busy defending from Chris Bagley, who is next along, and Chris looking to make a little bit of progress in the bright white car. He's somewhat easier to pick out as through Westfield Bend for the first time. Drivers really just exploring where they can push as they climb out of Dingledale into Sheen, one of the most exhilarating sections of the circuit this. Get the cars slowed down just in time to head around the left-hander, and Sterling's on towards Clearways and Clark Curve. Oh, and problems for Jamie Martin. We did worry if this might be the case. So Jamie Martin, touring speed. I suspect he is going to be heading into the pit lane at the end of this lap, as the rest of the field all streak through side by side. Just behind us, Chris Bagley and Tom Witts. Witts the orange car, Bagley white machine. So they then plummet downhill through Paddock Hill Bend. And that's all a little bit complicated, and the reason for that is into the gravel trap for Simon Tomlinson. Tomlinson, who was leading the 8-valve class, has a bit of a moment, and that serves to completely bunch the field up, as looking for space to the inside where there was none was the number 24 car of Robert Wheeler, who did a remarkable job of getting that car stopped just in time. So what does that mean for the 8-valve class? It promotes that man, number 16, Alex Nuttall, to the 4 of the class. Nuttall, as is often the case, mixing it with the 16-valve runners. There is Dan Gibbs coming up from the rear of the field. So he just looks over the curve at Surtees out onto the Grand Prix loop, and because these cars, in terms of straight line speed, are the most powerful, smoothness of technique is absolutely critical. Josh Johnson coming under pressure from Robert Wheeler. Tim Cox just in behind them in the bright red car, indeed they do. So lovely scrap this, unfortunately. What it is doing for the rest of the race is giving those up out front, which possibly to just make good a little bit of an escape. But there is still a long way to go. An awful lot to happen as the race unfolds. This is a circuit which demands maximum concentration at all times. Therefore you can see gaps yo-yoing in seesaw as proceedings unfold. Well, out front, Jason Tingle has broken clear of super scrap though. This is for 3rd place between Chris Skipp and Stuart Lyons. Lyons, a former sidecar motocross racer, beginning to just close back in to the tail of Chris Skipp. It's the car a little bit sideways through Paddock Hill Bend. And they have got Adam Hance in 2nd place just ahead of them as well. So this could fairly shortly become a 3-way tussle for the last couple of spots on the rostrum. All of that, though, is very good news for Jason Tingle. It gives him the opportunity, possibly, to ease clear at the head of the pack. Long Cooper straight then. And Stuart Lyons appreciably closer to Chris Skipp than he was a couple of corners ago. Now a nice, smooth run through Surtees is going to give him every opportunity on the Grand Prix loop to really start asking some questions of Skipp and maybe make that move up into 3rd place. He's not going to do it this time down Pilgrim's Drop. You can see the advantage they've got over Tom Witts and Chris Bagley Dan Gibbs and the rest of them. Alex Nuttall to the 4 of the 8 valve class. He's been able to put the car of Robert Wheeler between himself and Tim Cox. This is nice stuff from Alex Nuttall. Stuart Lynes still in pursuit of Chris Skip, and as the pair of them do battle, they're closing up onto tail Adam Hance. They're not making any sort of dent though into the leader. That man, the race leader, Jason Tingle. And Tingle a good 15 or so car lengths, I'd suspect, ahead of the fight for second place. Accelerating long gravel straight, and Chris Skip has really had the hurry up. He's now right in pursuit of Adam Hance. Hance in car 22, Skip in number 74. Skip you can also pick out because he has got bright red wheels through Paddock Hill Bend. And the gap just opens up ever so slightly before it closes up Hawthorne Hill on the brakes and Druids, and looking to the inside is Chris Skip, who sees a gap and pounces. Super move that from Chris Skip, and it's always the challenge in one-mate racing to be able to find your way past when the cars are so even. Driving technique comes to the fore, but immediately Adam Hance looks to fight back. Stuart Lynes, experienced campaigner that he is, just waiting to see how this fight unfolds, as immediately Hance goes back to the inside of Skip at Surtees, and now Lynes begins to play himself in the matte black number 4 car into the mix. Side by side for second place into Hawthorne's, Hance to the inside and Skip to the outside, Lynes to the middle. Chris Skip having briefly been up into second place, now up behind Adam Hance. You can see that Tom Witts is closing in on them at a rate of knots as well, because their lap times will have dropped off to the tune of a couple of seconds a lap here as they fight. So it could very shortly become a four-way tussle for second position. There is Tom Witts. Still though, Chris Skip determined to try and find a way past Adam Hance if he possibly can. Meanwhile, Robert Wheeler and Dan Gibbs having a good scrap. It's one of the beauties, again, of the Dunlop Mk2 Golf GTi Championship. Really, wherever you look in the field, there's always somebody to do battle with. Racing always very competitive as we go into the final lap. And it's still anybody's fight here for the last couple of spots on the rostrum. Barring disaster, Jason Tingle got this one sewn up. But it's now Chris Skip who's found a way to the inside of Adam Hance. Still Stuart Lynes as Dan Gibbs and Robert Wheeler side by side into Paddock Hill Bend, and Dan Gibbs just about gets his car stopped in time. That was touch and go, wasn't it, for a moment? Wasn't entirely convinced he wasn't going to end up as a visitor in the gravel trap. Instead he gets the switchback, and has he got the move to the inside at Druids? Yes, he does! Through goes Dan Gibbs, right on the absolute limit of traction afforded to him, but it's enough to move ahead of Robert Wheeler, at least for the time being. Only about a mile and a half in the race remaining. It is now very much the responsibility of Wheeler to see if he can fight back. And he looks to do so into Surtees, and possibly a problem there for Dan Gibbs, who runs out very wide. Oh dear me, disaster for Gibbs late in the race. So the fight for second place is as close as you want. 4 cars separated by about 4 car lengths. It's Adam Hance who has got second. To his credit for this instant, Chris Skip once more looking to try and claim that second place back. Stuart Lynes and Tom Witts ready to take full advantage if the opportunity presents itself. For Jason Tingle, though, this has been more or less a perfect performance. The same for Alex Nuttall in the 8 valve class. He has been able to build a nice buffer over Tim Cox, so accelerating through along the Brabham Straight, and victory goes the way of Jason Tingle. He takes the checkered flag and triumphs. All about second place. Looks as if Adam Hance is just going to be able to do it. Indeed he does, by fractionally over a tenth of a second, with then Tom Witts in 4th, Stuart Lynes in 5th, and Alex Nuttall an excellent 8th place and 8 valve victory. So look at the results. Tingle from Hance and Skip. What a battle for second though. Tom Witts deposing Stuart Lynes on the last lap. Well, Dan Gibbs dropping down into 12th place, finishing just behind Simon Tomlinson. So time to celebrate on the podium, and in the 8 valve class it was Tomlinson behind Cox and Nuttall. Race overall, Tingle, Hance and Skip. Hard day's racing, time to celebrate the champagne.
But you seem to have that race covered today. You got a great start and you managed a great big gap from everyone else. How did you do that?
Well, basically, I thought if I don't get my head down at the start, I just have to keep it consistent, no mistakes. And luckily, you know, at the end they were battling and stuff, gave me an even bigger lead. But I didn't make any mistakes. Car was brilliant again. Team prepped it perfectly. And yeah, I can't really say much more. I've had a great weekend. Win yesterday, win today.
Was it as challenging inside that cockpit?
It definitely was. It definitely was. Yeah, really enjoyed it though. Had a great start, but then yeah, he caught me up, and it was a battle. Yeah, it was close, but yeah, it was nice and clean. It was great. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I got a terrible start. Simon managed to put a load of cars between me and him, and luckily on the second lap I made a mistake coming down Paddock Hill, and he came off. But that bunched everyone up together, me with the other cars. So a little battle with them was nice. Yeah.
Well, championship standings, and Jason Tingle well clear in the 16 valve class after that disappointing day for Jamie Martin, who's been caught by Stuart Lyons and Adam Harns. In the 8 valves, Alex Nuttall and Simon Tomlinson, just 6 points between the pair of them. That's going to go all the way to the final race.
Well, that's all the action we've got for you from Brands Hatch. We've enjoyed it. We hope you have too. We'll see you next time out. Bye-bye.